Our father used to tell us stories about the dragons, that they were mythical creatures that belonged to both worlds and buried between them. Nia. Hello, I'm Sensei the Dark Master, and welcome back to the Lore of Ninjago. And in today's video, we shall be covering the primal creatures of creation, the gracious dragons. Much like with serpents, I think some clarification is needed for what I mean by dragon before we actually start properly. Firstly, there are two categories of dragons. The true dragons, which are flesh and blood creatures that were one of the first two races in existence. And the second category are the elemental dragons, which are merely the physical manifestations of the powers of an elemental master. They shall get their own video at a future date. And while, yes, there is technically one type of dragon that sort of skirts the line between these two categories, I think it's sufficient to place them in this video. Now, let's start with the dragon's history. The dragons were one of the two primal races, along with the Oni, and are likely to have originated hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago. Unlike the Oni, the dragons represented the power of creation, and due to different ideologies, the two races fought each other in a nearly endless war. Eventually, from the two races, a child, the first Ninjitsu master, was born. The dragons fought the Oni over the right to the child, but eventually this child, the first Ninjitsu master, left. Before he did so, he struck a friendship with the mother of all dragons, the Firstborn, and left the dragon armor for her to guard as a sign of their friendship. Eventually, the Oni at some point disappeared, leaving the dragons in what would probably be a temporary peace. However, this did not last, as a group called the Dragon Hunters soon afterwards likely arrived and began hunting them. At some point in time, a deadly dragon attacked the people of the monks and gunkles and was a terror in the Shintaro Mountains. Eventually, said dragon was slain by Lily, the mother of Cole. His name was Griefbringer. Dragons re-enter the historical scene again when, much later after the first Ninjitsu master left, Sensei Wu guarded the realm. He decided to place a dragon to guard each of the golden weapons from Garmadon, with each being the respective element of said golden weapon. However, after an increase in Skulkin activities being used by Lord Garmadon to get the weapons, Wu decided it was time for 4 ninjas to reclaim them. After initial hostility, the 4 original dragons became allies with the ninja against the evil Lord Garmadon. They helped the ninja travel to the underworld. The dragons would continue to assist the ninja against the Skulkin and Serpentine as both companions and transportation. However, eventually the 4 dragons began the process of molting, and so had to leave the ninja to go to the Spirit Coves to mature. During this period, at the Spirit Coves, the 4 original dragons morphed into the 4-headed Ultra Dragon. It would be briefly used by Lloyd as a steed, but would later have to go home to the Firstborn in the First Realm, where it was later unfortunately killed by the Dragon Hunters and crafted into a throne for their leader. When the Overlord tricked and possessed Garmadon's being, the poor Garmadon was mutated into a huge black dragon of unknown type. From there, Real flesh and blood dragons largely faded until the ninja were banished into the first realm when they tried to escape the Colossus created by Garmadon again, and they met all new ones there. The ninja would meet other dragons in both the Shintaro Mountains and the lightning covered island. But all told, they do return to a minor extent in the future. Now let us cover the few traits that all dragons share. The dragons appear to all be comparatively long-lived compared to people, and appear to be able to fly or glide to at least a certain extent. They also appear to have a greater intelligence than the average animal. And most fall into a set of types. And of course, there are several dragons that do not fit these following types that we shall cover in the end. So let us begin with the first type. The first type of dragons are fire dragons. They are obviously associated with the element of fire, and this includes the ability to breathe fire, though this is not, in fact, exclusive to this type of dragon. They also have more heat resistance and have a red-based color theme. Examples included the original Fire Dragon Flame and the more bulky Fire Dragon that Kai would later ride in the first realm. There is the Lightning Dragons, which are associated with the element of lightning and possess a blue-dominated color scheme. They can breathe a blast of lightning. Known lightning dragons included Wisp, one of the 4 original dragons, Stormbringer, and Stormbringer's baby, both of which were found in the first realm and have a more eastern appearance. The third type of dragon is the ice dragons, which are associated with the chilling element of ice. They can breathe an icy breath that freezes enemies. There are 2 known ice dragons, and they are extremely different. Shard has a white-dominated color scheme and was a typical wyvern, while the second ice dragon was silver with translucent blue spikes, and had a more traditionally Western dragon appearance. The fourth type of dragons are earth dragons. They are associated with the element of earth, and can basically vomit earth/sand out at foes, blinding them or burying them. They also possess the greatest physical strength of the main types of dragons, with Rocky being able to easily break trees. 2 known examples included Rocky, the original Earth Dragon, and the newer, more bulky and green-colored Slab. Interestingly, the only other elemental type of dragon is the next one we'll be talking about, that being the Wind Dragon, with only a single individual known, but there are implied to have been others. It looks a great deal like Stormbringer, except white and brown. They can breathe a strong blast of wind, can fly at the highest speeds of all the dragons, and manipulate clouds. The remaining dragons are not related to specific elements, but are distinguished based on certain characteristics. The Shintaran Ridgebacks are a type of dragon native to Shintaro. They can breathe fire, however, the most unique ability is that they can grow from a small, cute form to a huge dragon when angered. The only known Shintaran Ridgeback is Chompy. The next type of dragons are the arguably not real dragons, ethereal ghost dragons. While they are not physical like the others, they are implied to have been the spirits of dead dragons, so they still count. They do not possess any sort of breath attack, and mostly possess no limbs other than wings. One exception is known, and it's the largest one, being more like a wyvern than the others. In total, they usually possess a color scheme of navy blue and lime green that goes along with the other members of the Ghost Army. Overall, they're quite interesting, but underutilized. Perhaps the rarest and most obscure type of dragon is the yin yang dragon. Depending on how it grows up, this type of dragon can turn into a glorious light dragon or an evil shadow dragon. The one known individual was Bandit, and it was kidnapped slash altered by clouds, but was turned into a light dragon thanks to the efforts of Kai and Nia. They saved him. Four dragons don't fit these categories. Of those, the first and greatest of them all is the Firstborn, the oldest dragon slash oldest known character in the entire theme, and the mother of them all. She can control and breathe out all the five elements of her spawn, aka fire breath, ice breath, lightning breath, earth, vomit, and wind. She has long horns and normally possesses a reddish color scheme, but her color can change when she glows as she uses different elements. For example, when she uses ice, she glows a whitish blue. When she uses fire, she glows an orangish red. Overall, an extremely interesting creature. The Ultra Dragon was created when the four original dragons fused. It has a white coloration with a black underside. The four heads correspond to the four elements and have markings that correspond to them. Due to this heritage, he has many powers. With Earth, the Ultra Dragon's striking power and overall physicalness is greater than any of its former ones. He can even easily lift the samurai mech. With fire, he can breathe not only a general stream of flame, but also fireballs. With ice breath, he can freeze enemies. And with lightning, he can not only discharge lightning breath, but also shoot lightning from his talons. Overall, he combines the greatest aspects of all the other dragons. Griefbringer was a dragon of unknown type. I highly suspect it was either an earth dragon or most likely a Shintaran Ridgeback due to where it was found. Being undead, he's essentially unkillable as long as the skull of Hazadur existed. In terms of abilities, he can breathe green flames and is potentially venomous. The last, but in some ways not least dragon we shall be talking about today is Zippy. He seemingly lacks breath attacks and has a somewhat lower intelligence compared to other dragons. He can at the very least slightly glide and has great physical strength and is attracted to coconuts, which Lloyd used to free his friends. From the dragons, we learn to appreciate the greatness of creation. They inspire us to aim for greatness and always fight against evil. I'm Sensei the Dark Master, and join me next time in the lore of Ninjago. Have a great day and take care. Subscribe if you like more content of this. And peace out.